A Battlefield 6 California Resistance Winter update is almost here. With this update, the developers are planning to do some of the biggest changes and probably the most important changes we have seen in Battlefield 6 since basically launch of the game. If you're still following Battlefield 6 and you wish to support a smaller creator, likes and subscriptions are highly appreciated. Thank you so much. Development is ongoing to further enhance soldier visibility and to make combat readability feel sharper and intuitive across all environments. In this update in particular, we have refined how visibility works in close range so that soldiers stand out more clearly in darker or low contrast areas. This was a common problem in the previous build of Battlefield 6. Sometimes inside the soldiers just didn't have any type of glow to them and they would very easily blend in darker corners, just as the developers have described here. The one thing that really irks me with all these updates they're doing on X, I really wish they would show maybe some type of a video or maybe a GIF comparing how it used to look and how it looks now. You know, a basic left to right comparison so we can actually see how effective these improvements really are instead of letting us wait to find out for ourselves once the update is out. They also say that they have updated prone animations to include more subtle movement, improving the ability to spot soldiers using low profile positions, which is I think also a pretty nice touch. For the future, they're looking ahead at broader improvements to lighting and exposure, especially indoors versus outdoor transitions, and how characters read against complex environments. This work continues to be a major focus for the Battlefield studios, and they're approaching it with the goal of improving clarity without compromising the intended Battlefield visual style. The developers are also doing some adjustments to the way weapons feel and handle inside the game. This update includes wide-ranging improvements to weapon handling, including fixes to first shot accuracy, attachment behavior, and tuning across various recoil patterns and weapon categories. So they might adjust the recoil patterns on some of the very troublesome guns who might maybe have a little bit too much recoil for what they're worth, maybe tier 7 and some of the LMGs, although I would argue I would be very careful when reducing recoil on weapons that can kill in 3 bullets across most ranges. Attachment behavior here is a really big point. Many attachments in Battlefield 6 are pretty much useless because they have pretty big negatives on them. Maybe they could adjust how some attachments operate on some weapons so we can actually use a little bit more attachments other than just running either the all vertical or the slim angle grip. I would love to have more freedom in how I customize my weapons. These changes aim to deliver more predictable and consistent weapon performance in active combat. We will continue to refine weapon behavior based on live data and player feedback. This is, I suppose, why they have Battlefield Labs reopened again, and with additional adjustments already in development for future updates. Moving on to hit registration and netcode, we are continuing to build on our work to make hit registration feel consistent, reliable, and predictable during every engagement. With this update, we have improved how bullet trajectories are aligned in fast-paced situations, including cases where shots were fired while transitioning into a zoom. These improvements correct inconsistencies that could affect hit registration and the readability of where your shots were landing. We have also made updates to better handle high-density combat scenarios to ensure bullets register more reliably when multiple players are fighting in close proximity. In parallel, we have tightened the clarity of damage feedback so that health, UI changes, and damage cues feel more immediate and easier to understand during combat. While this is separate from netcode itself, improving how damage is presented plays a key role in making hit registration feel responsive and intuitive. They say lastly, we have resolved an issue where clients could briefly display certain pieces of geometry as intact even though they have already been destroyed on the server. Fixing this eliminates cases where incoming damage could appear to pass through walls. The best example of this would be the rubble, for example on Empire State. If you ever played defense on Breakthrough, let's say a guy shot the walls down with an RPG, those walls on your screen might already have been down, but on his screen they were still up. So you were taking damage from basically invisible rubble, if I make sense. Because on his client, the walls were still up. So this is what they're looking to adjust with that fix. With this update, the developers also aimed at audio. We have made a broad set of audio improvements, including better prioritization of important combat and vehicle sounds, and a comprehensive pass on footsteps to improve clarity, distance definition, and positional awareness across the game. We have also continued to work on performance and memory issues that could cause sounds such as vehicles or footsteps to not play as intended, which has been particularly noticeable on larger Battle Royale maps. This is amazing because they claim that this is coming in this update. So assuming everything works as intended, perhaps tanks that makes no sounds will not be an issue anymore, which is obviously amazing for Battlefield 6. The devs also refined how modes feel as well. Across Rush and Breakthrough, we're making major updates focused on improving attacker flow, reducing defender oversaturation, and tightening clarity around objectives. Our goal is to make each push feel more readable, fair, and momentum-based without undermining strong defensive play. In Breakthrough, capture volumes and vehicle availability have been updated across several maps. These changes are guided by your feedback and internal data to help bring win rates closer together for both teams. As one example, Siege of Cairo now features an additional attacker tank in sectors 1 and 3, along with an updated capture area on B to give attackers a clearer foothold. Wow, this is actually a pretty crazy change, and in my opinion, maybe a bad change. In my games, attackers have already been smashing Siege of Cairo in basically most of the matches. If you have somebody who is at least half decent in the infantry fighting vehicle, that's basically an auto win. And now they're gonna have an MBT on top of that on a map which I would describe to be pretty small. That means that defenders are gonna have much harder time rotating from Alpha to Bravo on that first sector. I'm not sure how I feel about this change. I'm hoping they have at least tested this change in Battlefield Labs extensively before it comes up to Siege of Cairo, because I believe that now when you get defense on Siege of Cairo, it is basically an automatic leave while they play against two vehicles with no vehicles of my own. The defenders in Battlefield 6, in my opinion, are already severely disadvantaged, and Siege of Cairo is not the only example. If you take Liberation Peak as an example, at one point on that map, you can face up to 4 tanks as a defender, and the only thing you ever have is one Leopard tank that spawns on the third sector, which basically automatically dies because he cannot move anywhere outside of his spawn because he is fighting 4 tanks with limited ammunition. So I think vehicle distribution in Breakthrough still needs to be adjusted somehow. I don't think it's good enough. In Rush, they have adjusted the MCOM locations on Manhattan Bridge and Liberation Peak to give attackers more reliable access and to smooth out the flow between sectors. Additionally, across both Breakthrough and Rush, multiple capture zones have been reshaped or clarified so players understand more clearly where to contest or defend. Vehicle spawns have also been rebalanced on several maps to better support attackers, where pushes tended to stall and reduce setups where defenders held overwhelming vehicle advantages. These updates are intended to reduce bottlenecks, remove frustration points, and create more consistent and engaging fights across objectives. Lastly, beyond the Winter Offensive update, we are also looking into recent performance issues reported by some players and are reviewing data to understand where improvements are needed. Content-wise, Battlefield 6 Winter Offensive is definitely on the weaker side when you compare it to the other two. As the finale of Season 1, I believe we deserved a little bit more. We're just getting basically snow on Emperor State and on Gauntlet inside RedSec. That's if you even play RedSec in the first place, and we are getting a pickaxe and some portal updates. Nobody cares, Portal's dead. So that's where we are with the Winter Offensive update. If you enjoyed this video and find it helpful, then please consider leaving a like and a subscription. I'll see you guys in a few days. Hope you enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you perhaps with a stream on the Winter Offensive. Peace.